All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Nerd Variety Podcast. We've got me, I'm Hannah. We've got Josh,
Hey,
and we've got Hunter.
Hey!
This week, we're going to be talking about the shows that we watched as kids, sort of the things that influenced what we watch today, and maybe even changed us as people. So, Josh and I have talked about this a little bit in the past, but I wanted to know specifically from Hunter, what did you watch as a kid?
I watched Friends.
Oh, really?
That was like my show when I was a kid. That was my favorite show, which I feel like it says a lot about me. I kind of connected to Chandler Bing a lot.
All right.
jump into a certain season, or do you start from the very beginning?
Well, it started airing. I can never keep track. I think I was like, if it was it 94 or maybe 91 when it started?
94 when it started, and it ended
Okay.
in 2004. So
Yeah. So I was a year old or less. So I did not start at the very beginning. I think I started in I think I came in when they were airing like season 5 or 6. Probably somewhere around there. Maybe even like 4. But yeah, I was young when it got to end. I loved that show so much. And I watched it with my family. And yeah, that was my show. And honestly, at that time, I got, because of how into it I was pretty loyal, and I kept feeling like it was competing with Seinfeld. So I never watched Seinfeld because I felt like that would be betraying Friends.
Yeah, pick a side.
Yeah, and I did. So I still haven't seen Seinfeld to this day, but
Well, I haven't seen Friends.
I haven't seen any of Seinfeld.
that's more acceptable, Josh.
It's more of I'm not interested in watching it.
Yeah. Hannah, you need to get on that now because they're about to take it off of Netflix.
But
I vicariously watched it through my husband.
Yes.
So
Clarification, I vicariously watched it because of roommates and siblings. Hey, one of my siblings. So, but otherwise, I'm okay.
Hunter, you look very confused.
No. Yeah, so that was a big one for me. That was probably the biggest one. And honestly, I'm probably going to be fine once they take it off of Netflix because I have like literally every scene and every line memorized from that show. Yeah, so I don't know if you know James from college, how he kind of had The Office memorized. That's kind of how I am with Friends. Yes.
I'm just like, I guess I'm just not that into sitcoms. Like, I watched How I Met Your Mother, and I enjoyed that, but pretty much only because my husband shoved it down my throat. He was like, watch it! And so I was like, okay, and I watched it, and it was good, but that's just not generally the type of show that I'm drawn to.
But
I mean, I can get that.
It was a good show.
What?
It was a good show.
How I Met Your Mother?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm still not like obsessed with it to the point he has. I've still, God forbid, only watched it one time all the way through. I know.
Well, I don't know where you can watch it right now.
I don't know.
Because I think they took it off like everything, so I don't even know where to find it anymore.
I know how that is. Yeah, I started collecting.
Is it on Hulu? I don't know. I thought they took it off of there.
Maybe it off Netflix. It's all on Hulu. It's all.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe it was on Netflix and they took it off of Netflix, but yeah, no, I need to get on that. Same with Scrubs. Scrubs was another show I watched a lot.
I do like Scrubs,
and I loved it. And that's a show I've seen it less than I've seen Friends, but I've still seen it a lot. The only thing I haven't been able to get through is like I can't even keep track of the number. Whatever the last season was.
Yeah.
Like
I want to say 9.
Yeah, I want to say that too. But they were like the school, and I've tried to watch it. I just can't. Like I don't know. I've heard it's not bad.
But it's not the same.
Yeah.
You can accept the old show, the season 8 of Scrubs as the ending, and just consider that a spin-off. Watch it if you want to, but
Yeah.
if you want to feel some completion, just watch it.
Not the same.
I also think I finished it like completely for the first time just a few years ago. And I was not very happy with the ending, honestly. Like they did the whole slideshow thing with, I guess, like the future or something, him, JD and Elliot. It was weird to me. I didn't like it. I don't like them as a couple in the show. It just, they're both terrible people. And it just bugged me.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Aside from those two, some other shows that I really got into were like The Fairly Odd Parents, and then Jimmy Neutron, and SpongeBob, of course, but only probably not as long as I feel like. I always didn't think. I probably stopped watching the show around the time the first movie came out.
Which show?
I'm trying to consider the year that was 2004, I think.
Could be.
And about that time is when the season 5 of the show was out. And
what are we talking about?
SpongeBob.
Yeah,
so that's probably about as much as I had actually watched of it. And then other shows. I know there were, there was kind of a plethora of other shows like Ed, Edd and Eddy. What was the other one?
I don't think I was allowed to watch Ed, Edd and Eddy.
It was stupid and wonderful. But
I don't know. There were really random shows that I wasn't allowed to watch as kids, all for various reasons.
I was allowed to watch every show, and I pretty much did.
Yeah, but I watched The Matrix when I was 6.
Yeah.
But I wasn't allowed to watch Arthur.
I was 3. No, 4. I was 4.
What?
I saw Terminator 2 when I was 4.
Oh, I thought you were talking about The Matrix, because I'm like, I don't think that's possible.
That doesn't work. The timeline's off.
I was 5 or 6. I don't remember when in the year it came out.
Here, we can look up.
Yeah. I was probably about 6, because it came out in 99, right? Or was it 2000? I know it
was 99. It was March in 99.
Okay. Well, then I was 5.
I was 4. Nope, 3. Wait, yeah, 3.
Good job.
I can math. Shut up.
Good job. You haven't proven that to me yet. You keep saying
I would have turned 4 that year, but in March I would have been 3.
Yeah. I would have turned 6 that year, but in March I was 5. Damn it!
Now you can't do math. All right.
Hey, I didn't claim that I could. I just have proved in the past that I can. Anyways, so those shows, and then some of the weird ones too that took me a bit to get into, but like Invader Zim. I love that show, but it was so weird. Courage the Cowardly Dog.
I had a feeling that was going to be on your list.
Codename Kids Next Door. But I remember that less. And then Rocko's Modern Life and Cat Dog. There were a lot of Nickelodeon shows. Nickelodeon was pretty much my jam. A lot of the cartoon shows on Nickelodeon.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the live action, but I don't remember them as much, like All That and Are You Afraid of the Dark? A lot of those classic ones. I remember Good Burger more than I remember All That.
I don't remember watching any live action Nickelodeon shows when I was a kid.
I didn't watch any Disney Channel. Disney Channel was just like, I always, even when I was a kid, I thought that was stupid. And
I watched and wish I could still watch a lot of Kim Possible.
See, I never really watched that.
Oh my gosh!
Speaking of which,
so
I also watched like Dexter's Lab.
Oh yeah, of course.
And then there were a few. There were Rugrats.
I wasn't allowed to watch Rugrats.
Why?
Because I think the kids were just like mean to each other or mean to their parents, and my parents were like, "We're not for that. You can't watch it." And I was like, "All right."
The Wild Thornberries, I may have said.
Smashing.
Hey Arnold. Hey Arnold was great.
Arnold was a good show. It was a very decent, very real show.
It was.
Yeah.
My eyebrow is bothering me. It looks weird. Sorry.
I feel like you guys are just like ever so slightly from a generation before me,
Yeah.
which makes sense because you guys are all older than me.
How old are you?
I'm gonna be 24 this year.
Okay.
Shut up. I'm mature for my age, okay?
Sure you are. Well,
No, but it's like I know of all the shows.
okay, Josh, should we take her word at her age? She's not been doing well so far.
Yeah, her math. I'm gonna have to,
Wow.
age and math aren't,
Yeah. In '99, I was 3, no 4, no 2, no 5, no.
Do you even remember?
Well, you know what?
Let's see. I was born in '86.
It's because I do such complicated math in my day-to-day life.
Mhm.
I can't do these
Basically,
stuff
you're
anymore.
too good at math. You
I
can't
am.
even do the simple math.
My brain has addition is supposed to be automatic, so I've forgotten how to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Pretty much. No, that's a thing.
Yeah,
It
no,
is.
Of course.
No, but I feel like I know of all the shows you're saying, and I feel like I was just ever so slightly past them.
I feel like a lot of them were pretty short-lived.
Some have very few seasons.
Yeah.
My family didn't really have we didn't have satellite TV until 2001, and so I had to rely on going to school to watch some of these shows, and after school programs and daycares and friends' houses to watch a lot of these shows before we could start watching them in our own house. So I had a lot to catch up on. Just kind of had a big dump of Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, Dexter. Dexter's, as you can see, Dexter's was one of the big shows I watched on Cartoon Network. My top.
Oh yeah, Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon were pretty much the two channels I alternated between. That's why I also grew up on Dragon Ball Z and then Dragon Ball GT.
I was gonna say I was surprised that there wasn't any anime in that list.
Yeah, the Dragon Ball Z was my show, not Davy's show apparently.
I grew into it. I had some help after school. One, I wasn't really into anime growing up, besides Pokemon and Digimon. And then,
Pokemon was another show, I guess.
This is a little weird for me to get into. And then after getting out of high school and sitting down, I was like, this is actually kind of interesting.
I think Dragon Ball Z the Dragon Ball series as a whole is probably one of the least weird anime.
Yeah. It's a gateway anime.
And I still haven't seen it all the way through.
Go watch it right now.
No.
Yes.
I have better things to do.
No, you don't. And then go watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged because it's wonderful.
Or watch Dragon Ball Z Abridged first and then watch Dragon Ball.
But you won't understand it.
I
know the basic premise of the show.
Yeah, it's Americanized.
It's basically Superman.
So that will be the gateway for the gateway anime.
Gotcha. But I don't need a gateway anime because I watch other anime.
Exactly. But why not watch the most popular one, I would say, of all?
Maybe we'll see at some point.
Never watched Dragon Ball. Who dis? Oh, never mind.
We'll get around. We'll get to it eventually.
Okay.
So
in terms of, I was also gonna say Johnny Bravo was another one.
Oh yeah. I remember Johnny Bravo. Yeah.
Not anymore.
But the one show that I loved as a kid, and I don't think I've heard either of you mention, Josh, in our previous conversation, was Danny Phantom. And I wonder if that was just after your time and everything you're saying was a little bit before.
I think it was just after my time.
Because I was obsessed.
I had heard about it a lot, but I didn't really watch it.
Yeah. I want to say it came out in 2004 and lasted until 2007 or 8.
We can look it up.
You can look it up.
I can. First episode was 2004. Last one was 2007. Nice.
So you don't even have to guess, Josh. You got all these down.
Yeah, well.
Suck it, Google.
But there were... Yeah, again, I keep thinking of more because there were so many that were just kind of there. Some very randomly and, again, didn't last very long. But, yeah, there were There were a lot of good ones.
Out of what you watched as a kid, what do you feel like matches up closest to what you like to watch today? Like, do you still have similar things that you watch? Or is it mostly? It sounds like a lot of comedy.
Yes, I did like comedy. Probably why today I love Rick and Morty so much.
Okay.
Kind of my humor evolving. And actually, you know what? Surprisingly, when I was younger, I guess this was surprising. This wasn't a show that was necessarily forbidden from me. I wasn't told I couldn't watch it, but I when I was a kid, I didn't really get into South Park, and now it's one of like my favorite shows.
I still haven't gotten into South Park.
No, me neither.
You guys are lame.
Even though I know that they do a lot of what's the word? Kind of parallel what's going on in news and media and culture today.
Yeah, they're very
topical.
Yeah.
Yes, topical. Thank you.
And they make a lot of really good points, and their parodies are very funny.
Yeah.
Their whole Mr. Garrison as Trump was pretty funny. I was able to watch a little bit of that.
I don't mean to sound like high and mighty when I say this, but it's probably going to come off that way.
Sure.
I just feel like I don't like stupid humor. And I feel like a lot of what I've seen from South Park is stupid, and it seems like they can be really clever.
I feel
it seems like a lot of fart and poop jokes, and I'm like, which is why I'm not as into SpongeBob as like most of the people I know.
Well, you have to start from the first 4 seasons to really appreciate. Now it's more goofy, just really goofy, silly.
Mm-hmm.
I guess more closer to the kids ages now, and now it's like, okay, well, we can't really appreciate that humor, this humor that they're pushing now, but we could appreciate it now, looking back at the old episodes.
Well, I think I don't know. I did think it was like really stupid comedy, as you say it. But the more I really watched it and paid attention to it, it's pretty smart, I think.
That's what I get is that again, what I've seen of it, I feel like is stupid, but I feel like if you go into it a little bit more, maybe it's smart. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, they have to filter out some of the gross out stuff because they do know some of their audience just wants to laugh at poop and sex and
and then a lot of it is just very I guess satirical. So there's
and that I think is fun. But and I actually have no problem with jokes about farts and poop and sex and all that stuff, but I feel like if you're too in your face about it, it's like I'm not here for it. So I actually really like Phineas and Ferb for that reason. Because it's very much a kids show. It's very much a kids show, and every episode's exactly the same. But they do, the thing that kids shows do where they throw adult humor in there, but it's really subtle.
Yeah.
They have turned it into an art. Like, it's so good.
They did that in a lot of shows when I was a kid, and I didn't even notice it until I went back and watched it.
Yeah, I love that. I just when it feels like that's the main point of the comedy, and the smart comedy is the subtle stuff, I'm like, it feels backwards to me.
And I honestly, I feel like SpongeBob was a great show with that. A great example of that kind of stuff. It had kind of hidden adult humor that you really didn't get when you were a kid.
Yeah.
You may have laughed at something, but then it...
Don't drop them.
Huh?
Gary, look, the balloons. Don't drop them. Case in point of...
Yeah.
Really, really one that really went over our heads.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway. So, Josh, what did you watch as a kid?
Oh, let's see. One of the big ones I remember watching was Arthur, going before Satellite. In my house, I watched a lot of Arthur, and then outside of that, we had to rent a lot of stuff. I was really into Pokemon around 2nd grade. All my friends were watching the show, so we would go to a movie gallery and rent the 3-episode tapes and watch them. Otherwise, I would go
tapes.
Yes, VHS, could say tapes. Otherwise, I would go to friends' houses and watch, Nickelodeon, some Cartoon Network, Disney Channel stuff, all the old. And sometimes, if we were lucky, we could configure the TV antenna. The weird, we had a like a coat hanger and a little connector adapter to the back of the TV, and we could get ABC, and that which had all those like late 80s, early 90s Disney TV shows.
Yeah, we're really dating ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah. Well,
people know exactly the time period we were born.
Yeah. But yeah, it was all right. And then after we got satellite, the floodgates opened and we could watch what everybody else was watching, like at the house, and then watching SpongeBob and Hey Arnold and Dexter's Laboratory, just a lot, just getting all your basic cartoon food groups.
Powerpuff Girls was another one.
Oh my gosh, I loved Powerpuff Girls. Well, and I have 2 sisters, so there's the 3 of us and my brother, and our personalities lined up pretty well, and we always made my brother we would like play Powerpuff Girls, and my brother would be Mojo Jojo. It was good times.
I remember first seeing that show and then like, this is a girl show, but I couldn't stop myself from watching. It was just
a good show.
Wow, this is a girl show. This is cool.
I don't know why. Cool. There was one specific episode that I remember, and I really enjoyed it because it was basically a whole thing where they were kind of doing I don't even know what you would call it. It was like the Beatles, but they were like the Beat-Alls.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like the group of villains, and then there was.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
there was like. They just constantly were making references to Beatles songs and everything like that. So there was like the professor, I guess, came in one day to them. It's like, girls, I read the news today. Oh boy. Like the opening to Day in the Life. Anyways, it was funny. I remember it. That's the only thing I remember from that episode, actually, but still.
All right. Josh, did you watch any like not like adult shows, but like, so Hunter watched Friends and Scrubs, and I watched mostly sci-fi and fantasy stuff, but like I grew up on Star Trek the original series, which is definitely not a kids show, right? So did you have anything like that as well?
As far as I watched, a lot of sitcoms, and then into watching more adult things was me watching Family Guy, and I watched a lot of Family Guy.
That was a while later, wasn't it?
I more so kind of like.
Did Family Guy start?
Oh, it started in '99.
That's what I thought. Actually,
of course, I couldn't watch until we couldn't watch until we had Cartoon Network, and then I think more so in like late middle school, high school, I started watching the show after friends kept referencing it, and just making jokes, and I started watching some of the episodes too, and then I just really started inhaling all episodes like every other night, and that kind of like opened my eyes to like a lot of pop culture stuff that I kind of missed because they make so many references to it. So again, things that are more that in your face adult humor, but it also had a lot of thing like pop culture and satire that is good for someone to kind of see and be entertained by.
Yeah. It took me a long time to get into Family Guy. I don't think I even really knew about it until, I don't even remember what year it would have been, but it was much later, and like a friend of mine at the time was watching it, and I just kind of saw it, and I was like, this looks really stupid, but it's funny occasionally.
Yeah.
So I think it was even after that, a good bit after that I actually started kind of watching it on my own. Oh, sorry. Just thought of another great show that I remember watching as a kid, Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
How has that not been brought up already?
It was going to happen at some point.
Eventually, and it's going to take up a lot of...
Yeah. I was kind of afraid to bring it up because we could talk about it forever.
Do it
at least I could.
Avatar, and
I have all of it on DVD.
The thing is, I don't really remember like any of it.
It's so good. I need to go back and watch it because like every time I watch it, I realize like just the layers upon layers of what's going on there in terms of storytelling and character development. And I recently, for an interview, had to answer the question, "Who's my favorite fictional character?" which was very hard. And I only had 2 minutes to think about it, and I went with Katara because like she I think for me, right, and I see this theme kind of overarching whenever I look at the shows that I watched as a kid. She was one of those women who was just very powerful and kind of for me one of my first like feminist icons. Because she's like, I'm not gonna just learn how to heal. I want to actually fight. And I think that was really cool and something that I maybe like connected to as a kid without even really realizing what it was.
Yeah, she was a good anchor for Aang and Sokka and Toph later on, and
Mm-hmm.
Zuko.
Yeah, but she had like this dual personality where she was very motherly and nurturing, but also very strong and fierce and independent. I was like,
yeah, not a
I'm
damsel
into this.
damsel in distress.
Yeah, yeah,
trope in the show.
yeah. And so I loved Powerpuff Girls and Kim Possible, and anything like that that had like these strong female leads. Powerpuff Girls, obviously, when I was a little younger, but
Yeah,
Avatar,
the show did a great job
definitely up there.
teaching kids a lot of lessons and just giving you a lot of like, again, it's another gateway into anime. Inspired and was inspired by a lot of anime, and it just really covered a lot of ground over only 3 seasons,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully, maybe they can recreate it for the Netflix series.
I'm so hopeful.
I think they're going to do a live action movie of it.
No, they're doing it. It's a.
I'm kidding.
It's a TV show that they're doing, right?
It's on Netflix. It's already on the block is already on Netflix. They already have a space for it.
I was kidding.
Yeah,
about the movie.
Don't talk about the movie.
No, what movie? They didn't actually go through with it.
Okay, good.
All of that.
There's no such thing as an Avatar Last Airbender movie.
No.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it only makes sense to do as a TV series or a miniseries. I mean,
yeah.
What else can you do?
But it's going to be interesting to see if they just like copy it verbatim or if they're actually trying to do something new with it. Because it's like you're turning a TV show into another TV show. Are you going to change it or is it just going to be exactly the same? I don't know.
Have you ever seen anybody adapt a TV show or a book even or anything? Have you ever seen anything adapted directly as it was originally?
No, of course not. And it would be ridiculous if they tried to do that. But it's going to be interesting seeing what they do decide to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know it's been, let's see, 10, it should be 12 years since the show ended. And so it hasn't been that long since the show's been out. And, I feel like I know they show reruns on some of the, maybe not Nickelodeon, but some of the alternate Nickelodeon channels that just show old TV shows. So, it's out there and it hasn't really left the circuit. I just showed my nephew the first 4 episodes and he was a little like, back and forth, but then he saw the episode where he's running from the giant, I think it was episode 4, the koi fish. No, it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the episode about
Kyoshi Island.
He was really into it. So I was like, yeah, see, you don't need to watch, you don't really need the live action, but if they're insisting on making it, appropriately, then I might give it a try.
Yeah, well, it sounds like there's a lot of the original crew working on it. So I'm hopeful, and Netflix has had a good run of things recently. Yeah. So
actually, that I don't know why, just because we're talking about childhood shows and new things of them. They are coming out with, I don't think it's out yet, but I've missed a lot of stuff lately, so it's very possible. They're coming out with an Invader Zim movie, and I am so excited about that.
Yeah.
And it's the original creator doing it, and I'm so happy for it. And it just looks so stupid, and I'm so happy.
Yeah, we met Richard Horvitz at Atlanta Comic Con, and he was very excited about it, and just telling us go watch it. It's done. We just don't know when it's gonna drop, and I think it just dropped this weekend actually, or this week.
Did it?
The trailer and the announcement and the date, but I'm sure we'll make a movie out of it. We'll make a movie night out of it or something like that.
I don't know if a lot of people in our group watched Invader Zim, but I don't know.
I
don't
have.
think so either. It's out there.
It seems
And
good.
going back to an older to watching older shows, CSI.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I just thought about that. I think I started watching it in school or something like that. And it was more of a. I think they're letting us watching it in like school instead of teaching us those days. And because it was like, oh, they're using the scientific method, and hey, watch this stuff. It's a lot of science, detective work.
I
When
used
started
to.
watching it, getting into it, it's like and learning a lot of things about people and crime and situations that I didn't know before. It's like, this is kind of eye opening to me.
Yeah, I think I was exposed to a lot of stuff for the first time at my grandma's house, because they had their Super Nintendo, so that was like the first video games I ever played were on the Super Nintendo.
Are we talking about games now?
No. There's a segue. But we watched a lot of Star Trek: The Original Series, MASH, and Beverly Hillbillies as kids.
Good choice.
Yeah. So. And MASH especially was interesting to watch as a kid, I think, because it was like I don't know, it's got this really interesting mix of like it's kind of dark at times and really dramatic, but it's also comedy. And it's been fun because my husband's whole family's obsessed with it, so it was cool to like connect with them over that. But it's just I don't feel like a normal TV show for a 8-year-old to be watching.
I mean, I
thoroughly enjoyed it.
I remember some of the older shows that I watched when I was younger were like I Dream of Jeannie and I Love Lucy.
Oh yeah, I Love Lucy.
Actually, I had a teacher in elementary school that was super obsessed with it, so she just liked showing us episodes every once in a while. And I think maybe
teach you everything you need to know in life.
Yeah, maybe occasionally when I was up, I would watch. When I was up later, and eventually had a TV in my room, I would watch like. So I guess I was a bit older. Don't know how much though. This is hard to keep track. I watched occasionally a few episodes of like the Brady Bunch, and maybe what was it? Home Improvement, the one with Tim Allen. I didn't watch much. I didn't watch it very much, and I never really got into it fully, either of those, but occasionally they were on and I watched them. Ooh, another, again, I keep thinking of shows from when I was a kid.
I get so excited.
Malcolm in the Middle was another one that I loved, and that's a great show. I've tried to go back and rewatch it, and it's good. I think I don't know if it still is, but it was on Netflix for a while. So I'd be fine looking that up just again to see if.
And I just remembered all of the like PBS stuff that I watched as a kid because it was like, oh wait, I watched a lot of PBS, didn't I? There's a lot of. I feel like my favorite show was Cyber Chase because of course it was because that's just the kind of person I am. I like Cyber Chase a lot.
Excuse me.
And I think did you guys shut up? I'm smart. Whatever. Did you guys ever watch Dragon Tales?
Yes, I was actually just about to bring up Dragon.
Yeah, I watched so much Dragon Tales as a kid.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what it was about except dragons.
Yeah. Kids go to an alternate dimension.
Maybe it wasn't about dragons.
No, it was definitely about dragons.
Yeah, it wasn't about anything except just.
I'm ready for the live action version.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, so there's a lot of stuff there too.
Dark, gritty reboot of Dragon.
Yeah, that's gonna be Skyrim.
Oh,
Skyrim was the video game version of Dragon Tales.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I don't think so.
But Cyber Chase was a good show, Hannah. It had a lot of it was a lot of sci-fi and
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of kids
Yep.
saving the
It's
world.
sci-fi and math. Like, it. If there was any show that was like a representation of who I would become as an adult, it was probably Cyber Chase. My entire life is sci-fi and math, basically.
Yeah, not very good math either.
I'm good at math.
You keep telling us that, but again,
I tutor math for a living.
Yeah, maybe you
That's my
shouldn't.
job.
Maybe you shouldn't. I fear for those students. They're not
I
going to
Not
do
when
well in
not
math.
when you combine it with history.
You know what? You were homeschooled, weren't you, Hannah?
shut up.
That's why.
That's not what it is.
That makes a lot of sense
It's
now.
okay.
No.
It's okay.
You
can
were
tell
taught
us.
that math. Okay.
No. I also watched a lot of Doctor Who.
So it must have been older Doctor Who.
No. So Doctor Who came out
Well,
in
I guess it depends on-
2005.
Yeah, I know. So I was like 12. I was like,
Yeah.
I was a preteen by
So
that
I was
time.
10.
I wouldn't have considered myself a kid during that time.
I was 10.
Well,
So, and I especially remember I kind of view it as one of my childhood shows and something specifically that I watched with my family, like with my mom and dad, and was something that we did like in the evenings together, which I don't feel like we watched a lot of TV together before that. Maybe I did with like my siblings, so that was I think the first TV show I really watched with my dad specifically. So that I attribute that to being part of those formative years, and it's definitely influenced the kind of stuff that I watch nowadays because I still watch Doctor Who. First of all,
it's fantastic. Although the only thing I'm not caught up with is the more recent one.
the Lady Doctor.
Yeah.
Lady Doctor. I like her.
I can't remember who. May have been you, but I don't remember. I was having an argument about this. Well, not really argument. It's kind of a debate, maybe a question.
With you, it's always an argument.
I have a question.
There's a thing the other day where someone was questioning which doctor was Matt Smith. Maybe I was texting somebody.
11.
Well, yeah. So I was saying 11. Someone else was saying 12. And I was like, well, no, you don't count. I mean, technically, but he was the 11th Doctor because you don't count the War Doctor. First of all, because he didn't show up until.
Yeah, officially he's number 11.
Yeah, and then so Capaldi's 12, and the current one is 13. So it was a whole thing, and I tried to win this.
Okay, Josh, what was your question?
My question was, if I were to restart Doctor Who, or if I was someone who had never seen any Doctor Who, which Doctor should I start with?
Christopher Eccleston.
Yeah, I think you just got to start at the beginning, but you have to apply what I pretty much apply to all TV shows at this point. You got to give it a couple episodes.
Well, so not the beginning, not the first Doctor.
No.
I would say the ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, when they redid the show, when they brought it back in 2005.
But even in that season, you have to give it a couple episodes because the first two are pretty subpar, and then the third one is where it really gets interesting. And then the show just kind of gets better and better from there. And some would say it started to tank when Matt Smith came in. Others would disagree.
I like Matt Smith.
I liked him a lot too, but I think
he's really good. I like David Tennant probably better.
I think the general consensus is that David Tennant's the best. There's a lot of like really big Matt Smith fans.
I know a lot of I know quite a few Christopher Eccleston fans.
He doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah. He's a more serious actor, and he's not one of the more serious Doctors though. Although he definitely has his strong moments of being serious.
Yeah, for sure. But the first episode of season 1 is just a little bit very stupid, but it does get better. So if you're watching it for the first time, at least get to episode 3 before you make a decision.
At least get to the 22nd season before you.
Whoa.
I don't know.
I actually watched all of the Ninth Doctor that first season. I think it's just that season that's where the first season of Modern Doctor Who. I started with David Tennant, but couldn't really we just weren't getting. We just couldn't make it work.
Wrong.
I jumped into a little bit of Matt Smith. I thought he was slightly easier to watch. I was interested in watching Peter Capaldi's Doctor Who, and I would like to see how the 13th Doctor handles as a Doctor Who.
Yeah, my husband and I are fully up to date with I can't remember the actress's name, but with her season, and our general consensus is that we liked it, but we have a few complaints, mostly with the writing and less with her portrayal of the Doctor. The biggest one being, and I'm afraid I think it's because she's a woman, they haven't let her get as angry.
No.
Because when women are angry, it tends to come off as bitchy, or at least people perceive it that way. And so she's been a lot gentler than this last season, and I really want to see her get angry, because I feel like the righteous anger is a really big part of who the Doctor is, and she just hasn't been given the chance to do that, which is upsetting.
And I like Wonder Woman the best when she's angry. There are plenty of female characters that I like best when they're angry. Some that I probably don't like as much, but that's just more of the character than their gender.
Yeah, well, and I think that like she could pull it off really well. I just don't think they've given her the chance.
Yeah.
So, which is a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
probably a part of her in later seasons. They're just like, okay, gonna let you,
hopefully,
someone's face, rough them up a little bit.
I don't know how long she's gonna last.
I think she's at least doing another season.
Because I don't know how long a lot of them went. I just remember Christopher Eccleston's being like very short. It was only one season. Yeah.
Jodie Whittaker, that's her name.
Yeah. I knew that. I knew that. I was just waiting for you to figure it out or look it up.
Yeah. I think Matt Smith went the longest. Probably. I think he had 3 seasons.
Yeah, he had.
But David Tennant seemed like he was there for a long time.
Oh, no, I guess David Tennant had 3 seasons too.
Well, I remember, I guess, did he or did he have 4? Because I remember.
No, he had 3.
Because I remember David Tennant had. He had, I can't remember actually. He had, I guess, 3 companions. He had Rose, Martha, and Donna, who I did not like as much.
Yeah. And Rose was 2 seasons, but the first one was with Christopher Eccleston. She only had 1 season with David Tennant, and then Martha and Donna, so it was 3 seasons. Don't question me. I can do math. Look at me adding.
Not all of them were a season per companion, which is why it takes some extra thinking sometimes. It's more about focusing on the arc.
Yeah.
The arcs.
Yeah, but it looks like Matt Smith and David Tennant had the same number of seasons.
Yeah. So. Well, yeah, I liked both of them, and I liked Capaldi. There's not been a Doctor so far in the rebooted, or is it rebooted? I don't know.
Modern.
Yeah.
Modern. Yeah. There's not been a Doctor in the modern ones that I've just not enjoyed at all.
Yeah. Wikipedia uses the word revived.
Yeah. And so I mean, yeah, like again, I haven't seen Jodie yet, but
yeah, she's good. It's good. It's worth a watch. We're hoping that she has potential. We're hoping that things get better from here.
Well, I think next week we should talk about video games we played as kids.
Mine are all going to be Nintendo games and PC games.
Well, there's a lot of PC and Nintendo games.
That's true. I've actually been thinking about streaming some of the games I played as a kid because they're on Steam. But we'll talk about that next week.
Yeah. Actually, I think I know what some of those games are because at least one of them, if not multiple, we share in our Steam library.
Oh, do we? I'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Assuming those are games that you also played as a kid. I mean, they're kid games.
I have some of them that I played as a kid, some that Patrick played as a kid, and some that I didn't play as a kid but always wanted to, so I bought them anyway.
That could be the case for any of those, but we'll talk about it
next time. We'll talk about it next time. So that's pretty much all we got for today. Does anybody have anything final to say? Nope. Cool. All right.
Oh, my phone's disappeared. Oh, there they are.
Okay, so this has been the Nerd Variety Podcast. Catch us next week where we're going to talk about some video games that we played as kids, possibly. That's possibly what we're going to talk about next week.
Yes.
But until then, over and out.
That's it.